Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Rapid Fire Golf, episode 30. Back outside here at the Bethlehem Golf Club at the beautiful range. It's like 75 degrees, sunny, beautiful, not hot, no rain for once. So we're back outside here. Hope everyone's doing well. For those of you again who are new, Rapid Fire Golf, you guys asked golf questions. I will rapidly answer them. And for those of you that have been here before, just fire away when ready. We did today launch our wedge and short iron masterclass, which we'll talk about a little bit as we work on here. And there's a coupon code for you guys for that, so we'll talk about that once everyone hops in here and we get rocking and rolling. So when you guys have questions, fire them away, and we'll talk a little bit about this wedge and short iron masterclass here as we're ready. So the wedge and the short iron masterclass that we did is actually, it's a 16 video series. You should have seen the how to become an elite wedge player part 1 today on YouTube, and there'll be a couple more in that series. Those are a couple videos within the full masterclass we did with the wedges and short irons. It's 16 videos. Basically, the format of the masterclass is all about the basics first, solidness of contact, hitting the ball well and solid all the time. Part number 1. Part number 2, building in a distance control system, which we do through the body parts. Some of you guys have seen some of that before. And part number 3 is controlling trajectory. So learning how to hit it low, medium, and high. And then we talk about how to do it with the short irons as well. Really key for you guys to build in the system from that 30 up to 150 mark, kind of regardless of your score range. So if you guys are interested in checking that out and are here on the live, I'll let you guys know now, and then I'll say a couple times as we go along. The coupon code for you guys for that masterclass, for being here and hang out, you get 50% off. Now the class is $47, the masterclass. You get 50% off. So that's, what is that, Mary? $28.50. Mary's not the best at math in the back for those of you that don't know. So you get 50% off the masterclass. The coupon code on the podium, Mary will post up here in the comments somewhere, is LIVE, L-I-V-E, capital L-I-V-E, 50% off for that masterclass, wedges and short iron, for those that are interested. All members on here at CogornoGolf.com, as you guys know, you do get that for free. You don't have to pay extra for that. That will be, it's already on the site. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. Okay, random. I like that name. How much, Doug, what's up, man? How are you, buddy? How much should your left leg and body rotate during the takeaway and backswing? Well, it's funny. We actually literally just did a video on that today that'll come out in the next week or so, about the takeaway position. So during the takeaway phase, if we're looking at from first, let's say, setup position to first parallel here, the hips are going to turn about 15 degrees. So I would say as a stock model, your hips would turn in 15s at each checkpoint. You're looking for your hips to go from 0 to about 45 degrees at the top of the swing. Your hips go from square, they then go 15 degrees open at first parallel, 30 degrees open at left arm parallel, and 45 degrees open at top. From here, that would be 15 degrees first parallel, 30 degrees left arm parallel, 45 degrees at the top. And your kind of left leg would work along with that. The checkpoint I'd use for how much your left leg should rotate is, I would like you to try and get see when you take your setup position, the leg's externally rotated. See, here's my hip, here's my knee. My knee is outside of my hip. So when I go back, I want to internally rotate my leg to the point at least where my knee and my hip are in line, or my knee's inside of that. That's what I'm shooting for at the top. So you want to get your knee at least in line with your hip, or more during the backswing. I prefer more. Let the heel come up, let a big turn on the way back. More depth, more speed, easier to shallow, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that helps. In terms of the shoulders, you said, I think, hips and body. The shoulders, we're going from 0 to 90 at the top. A stock model, you just do 30 degrees at a time. So you go 0, 30 degrees of shoulder turn by first parallel, 60 by left arm parallel, 90 by the top would kind of be the stock model. Dave, at address, should the shoulders be rounded forward or pulled back? I've heard both. They should be rounded forward. If you look at good ball strikers, the lower back, so kind of base of the spine through about the mid-thoracic, so to about here, my back is pretty straight, and then from there it rounds forward. This would be me on one line, right? But I'm very clearly rounded forward. I'm going like this, and I'm rounding over with a little bit of a bent over. It can perhaps get a little excessive, but if you look at the greatest ball strikers of all time, in their primes, it's more towards excessive than flat. So you should be rounded some amount. I hit my iron straight / draw, but for my driver, I occasionally hit pop-up sky balls to the left. What could be a few reasons, fixes you recommend teeing ball lower? Yeah, it could be Could be ball position too far back. In all likelihood, what that sounds like is you're too steep. And so I see that pattern sometimes. Again, I'd have to see your swing to say for sure. Obviously, some of you guys will know here, hopefully by now, CogornoGolf.com is our membership community online. So when I say I need to see your swing, if you check out CogornoGolf.com, there's different membership options. That's where you can post your swing. I can give you personalized feedback. So I would check that out. But usually that pattern happens like that when you're too steep or vertical with your angle of attack. So when you have a ball on a tee that's sitting up and you're too steep with your driver, you can sky it, right, pop it up, etc. But if the ball's on the ground and you're steep and your swing direction is neutral, the more down you hit on the ball, the more it kicks your path to the right, so you actually make you draw it. So I would be willing to bet you hit too far down. The question then would be, why does that happen? Some common reasons for that would be, if you look at my head here, a lot of people, the head works too far forward during the downswing. They get steep from that. I'd kind of check that first, make sure your head location's neutral or stays back. Would be the part that I would do. Kind of put a stick on the side of your head, search my name and hit it far, or head behind the ball, stuff like that. You'll see some drills on that, how to hit it higher and farther with your head behind the ball. For putting, would you stand close to the ball with your left eye looking directly above the ball? Yes. Also, would you set the putter at the toe heel at address to promote square face and impact? Yes. Now, it depends on your lie angle of your putter. Some people have different lie angles. I know good putters, like a Steve Stricker, whose heel's off the ground. That works for him. I would get your putter fitted by a good putter fitter, would be the answer to that. But yes, yes is the answer to both of those questions. I'd go under left eye for stock model. In terms of ball position, I'd kind of go, for most people, just underneath your left eye is about neutral on your arc, where you hit it slightly on the upstroke would be neutral. Again, these are stock rules. I know different people do different stuff. Ryan, should the right wrist be flat at address? Should it be that way for all clubs throughout the bat? Yeah, so the right wrist is going to be pretty flat when you take your address position. I like for most players to have the hands inside of left thigh. So then, depending upon where your ball position is how much shaft lean you have. So if the driver's up here off your left heel and the hands are inside left thigh, then there's no lean there, but my wrist conditions are still the same. Now, if the ball position is more middle, my right wrist is still flat. I'd have to move the ball position like pretty far back for my wrist angle to change, right? But more or less, yeah, when you take your normal setup position, you're gonna have a little bit of cup or natural extension in your left wrist, and then your right wrist will be pretty darn flat at your adjustment. It does depend on your grip style. So if I take my normal setup and I go really weak here like this versus stronger, the stronger my grip, the flatter, or even this way, my right wrist will be. There'll be even a little bit of kind of flex to it. The weaker my hand is, the more flat my wrist is, the more strong my hand is, the more kind of flex it gets underneath like this. You're not going to have it like this at setup. You're not going to have an extension. Let's see. Hey, Eric, had success again with stack and tilt pattern after you noticed me crossing the seam line. Would you still work with me without a weight shift? Yes. I'm not sure exactly what you're referencing, to be honest with you, but I think the answer is yes to that. Darren, hey, Eric, on my backswing, I see my left arm is pinned across my chest. Just wondering what faults this could produce and any fix or feels to work on. So I like the arm pinned against the chest going back, and then really, or more specifically, pinned against the chest in early transition. Keeping some depth to the arms in early transition can help swing direction a lot, can help speed purposes, kind of give you something to bounce off of. If your lead arm gets off your chest early in the downswing, there's nothing there for it to fly off of later. There's less speed. I find a lot more speed across the board for players, and they keep that pec, that left bicep against the pec a little bit earlier on. The issue you got to watch with that is if you're against your pec and your hands are deep, you got to watch your trail shoulder doesn't get internally rotated like this, which would make the shaft get too steep. If your trail shoulder is an external rotation, you can go pretty darn deep there and you're perfectly fine, because my elbow's still in front of my seam line. The issue with going here is if my elbow goes back this way, because then I'm stuck unless I have a tremendous amount of chest rotation. So yeah, Darren, I don't know if that would even be a fault. It just depends on where you go. I'd say I would look for checkpoints. How deep should you be? Most good players are going to be about in line with the right pec, right bicep going back, and then they're going to be back on that line or just in front of that, in front of sternum location, but they won't be left arm right down the line. Most of them, they'll be more here. Some guys a little bit different, but if you get too deep with that, sometimes you got to stall out to get the arms back in front, or you got to go like Jim Furyk, Rory, like a lot of chest rotation. Robert, happy Monday. What's up, buddy? Let's see here. I was told my backswing is flat. What is a flat swing? So it depends. I don't know who told you that or what their definition is, or if that's what I'm going to say. When you talk about flat, it depends if you're talking about shaft or left arm, really. I would say a flat would be more so where the arm is. So a normal swing would be the left arm on the shoulder line. A vertical swing would be the left arm above the shoulder line. So this is my shoulder line right here, my shoulder tilt. On that would be normal, above that would be vertical, and then below that would be flat. That's what some people use terminology for flat. Some other people use the shaft. So this would be neutral, this would be across the line, this would be flat. I would call this kind of on plane or laid off, that flat. What negative results does this typically produce? Well, it really depends. Let's assume you're talking left arm underneath your shoulder plane. A lot of times the arms and hands get too deep. So the butt of the club's too far behind you, your trail arm gets too far behind you, which a lot of people get too far behind you in transition, which a lot of times means you got to stall pivot to get the arms back in front of you, as a really loose generalization. Of course, it depends on, Robert, kind of what you do with that. What is a trainable fix? So if your lead arm's too low, let's assume that's the problem, and you want to go more here from the takeaway position at first parallel to the top. Since you're too low, you need to feel straight up vertical to the point where you get it on your shoulder plane. Of course, you need to record yourself and do that. The best way to do that's with live view or mirror vision apps. Something you can see yourself simultaneously. If that's the issue, that's how you would fix it. Always the fix is, almost always the fix is opposite of your current problem and go extreme. So if your arm's too low, you need to feel really high. If your arm's too high, you need to feel really low. If you're too far left, you got to feel really right. If you're too far right, you get the point. You got to exaggerate more than you think. You got to use video, or else it's just a guessing game. Which of your videos deal with this best? I don't know that we have that video done. You're lucky there, man. You got 5 and 1, baby. Deal, Hunter. Ryan, should you always, no matter what, have supination of the left wrist? Absolutely. Never been a golfer ever who could hit a ball who didn't have some amount of supination. If you look at Athletic Motion Golf and their videos that actually measure it with the gears, which hopefully we'll go do some videos with them over the winter time. Even a guy like a Dustin Johnson who's got a stronger grip, bows down, face down, still from here to here has a lot. Think about it. Like from here, the back of the hand at last parallel is facing towards the camera. And by the time it gets to the target, by the time it gets to impact, it's almost at the target. There's still a lot of supination. Can't get around it. The question is how much and when. In theory, the stronger your grip is, the less you have to do that to square the face. The weaker your grip is, the more you have to do that to square your face. And then naturally with supination typically comes flexion. So weaker grip, more supination, more flexion, more ulnar deviation, kind of unhinge this way. Stronger grip, you'd kind of hold that more and go a little bit more drive hold in this fashion. You'd maintain a little bit more hinge of your lead wrist. Not a great body rotator. Been playing since I was 3, so it's hard to make a switch like this without a lot of practice. Yeah, so I don't know whether you, Ryan, should or shouldn't do the supination or need to or not. I would say the weaker your grip is, the more you have to do it, the stronger, the less. If you're pumping balls to the right over and over as a right-handed golfer, then you probably want to add more. If you're pumping them left, then probably not as much. I'd have to see your swing though, Ryan, to say for sure. If you check out Cogorno Golf and post your swing, I can tell you really quickly, but I'd have to see that. Stan. So Mary just posted, for those of you guys that are just in here now, we just launched our wedge and short iron masterclass today. 16 videos, all about 30 through 150 yards. It's solidness of contact, it's distance control system, it's trajectories, and proximity to the hole. It's 47 bucks. Everyone that's on here gets 50% off. The discount code is LIVE, L-I-V-E, live. If you click the link Mary posted to Podia, you get 50% off, which is $28.50. Okay, very good. If you guys want to do that or support the channel or check that out, you can check that out. Stan, watch a few of your videos a month ago when I was shanking the ball. Finished time for first my flight for club championship. Thanks to the vids. Thanks for the post, my friend. We are happy to hear that. You are welcome. You are welcome, Ron. What swing changes is Mary working on? None. She didn't play enough. We're working too much. Does she get lessons regularly from you? No, we used to, but not really as much anymore. Not at all anymore, actually. Yeah. How much has she improved since starting with you? Quite a bit when we were working together. She still, I think, is significantly better than when we started. But we're doing this a lot. We don't really play all that much. What is she currently working on to improve in her game? Nothing is my answer.
If I were, though, it would be swing speed.
Swing speed.
And supination.
Supination. How would you show someone how the arms and shoulders move without the hips moving? I don't know that I would, but if I were to eliminate, what was it, arms and shoulders? How would you show someone how the arms and shoulders move without the hips moving? So the arms during the backswing go in, right? They go across your body and they lift some amount. They go across your body and they lift some amount. to the point where if I was here, I'd hold my left arm up where it was parallel to the ground, and then I would bring it across my chest. That would be my backswing motion. I'd go lift to the point where it's parallel. That's how much lift you'd have. I'd then put it across my chest till I could go no more, and it's squeezing my pec. I'd take that, I'd bend over to the ball, and I'd turn, and that'd be my backswing. That's how I do my arm. How the shoulders move without the hips turning. Yeah, the shoulders don't move without the hips turning. That was a little bit trickier. But how your shoulders are going to work during the backswing is you're going to turn ideally to 90. You're going to turn ideally to 90. You're going to have left side bend during the backswing, which is your left shoulder closer to your hip. During the downswing, you're going to replace it with right side bend, which is your right shoulder closer to your hip. So during your backswing, your shoulders turn 90 and tilt. During your downswing, your shoulders turn 90 and tilt. Of course, those are happening simultaneously, not separate events. So I hope that answers that. Frank, applying the left hand for stronger grip, do you prefer just placing the left hand more on top of the club, or does the hand form get more twisted to accomplish this? Yeah, for most people, it's both. It's both more on top of the club and twisted. The number one thing I'm looking for is the heel pad, this little heel pad sitting on top of the club, not the side. And then some people, I will go in there and twist. So if you're here like this and the V's up over on your lead shoulder, I will twist your hand to the point that it goes over this way. Absolutely will twist. So yeah, I'm looking for, as a stock grip, the V's to be about trail collarbone. So if the V's aren't there, I would twist the hand on top and twist. Alfonso, hello. How do you get more shallow with drive or any club, any good drill? Ton of them. We have a shallow your downswing masterclass. It's like 20 videos. Alfonso, if you search my name and go to Podia, or the link Mary posted above, or search my name on YouTube here in shallow, we have a lot of videos on that. I would start with a swing direction station of some sort. Search the best drill I've ever seen. The only three drills you ever need. Shallow your downswing like the pros. I mean, there's a lot of that in there that you can do. So if you check those out, that'll give you kind of a head start on that. I keep standing up on the downswing. Can't seem to keep my spine angle no matter what I do. Same thing. I feel like I'm on a sales thing, I guess, here today. I would genuinely answer that with, I think the best thing you could do is get our early extension masterclass, because it's just good and it explains it thoroughly. There's like 20 some videos, explains the whole thing, why you would get that, how to fix it, different lower body, feet, feels, leg, upper body, etc. Yeah, it's like step by step. It's very easy to organize. So that's the real answer. It's going to cost you 75 or 77 bucks. Because I can't see your swing on here. I can't tell you why that's happening. I could give you about 3 hours worth of spiel on how to do everything, but I'd rather just pay the 75 and go watch it. But yeah, that's it. You have to do something to exaggerate the opposite of that. If you're normally standing up, but you got to check and see if there's something earlier on that's causing it. A lot of times, if your face is too open, you'll stand to square it. If your downswing's too steep, you'll stand to square it. If your pressure's too far on your heels and you're working towards your toes during your downswing, you'll stand to get out of that. So there could be different reasons why you're doing that. I would either get a membership to CogornoGolf.com so I could see and tell you, or do the early extension masterclass. Genuinely mean that. Josh, hey Eric, what clubs do you have in the bag? Right now I have Callaway Apex irons that are not mine. They're Paul's, my buddy. I have a Mizuno driver, a Rogue 3-wood that I don't use, an Odyssey 2-ball putter, and Mizuno wedges. So it's kind of like a really weird mix match of bags or clubs kind of throughout the year. Honestly, this is the first year in probably the past like 8 that I've played a decent amount throughout the year that I've actually like kind of wanted or needed some clubs. So maybe we'll kind of get something more kind of legit as we go. Michael, would your driver tee markings on the bottom of your club be a good indicator of an in to out or out to in swing? I don't think so. No, I don't think that you could tell swing direction from top or bottom. I think angle of attack will be something you could potentially tell a little bit about that. But no, Michael, I don't think that that'll indicate swing direction. It could. You could be getting that because one of the two. I would say it's probably more likely that you're inside out if you're hitting it low in the face, but that's a super general answer. It could really be both. Michael, Eric, I have a problem with push, slice, and pull hook. Any drills? Yeah, that's a really tough one, man, for me to give you one drill that would fix both push, slice, and pull hook. If you're getting push, slices, and pull hooks, that ball pattern says your downswing path is too far outside in, and you're kind of timing the face differently. So when you come down and you're a little bit kind of over it or outside in, and you square the face or close the face, that you hit the pull hook. When you're outside in and you open the face, you get the slice. So it sounds like the root of that is the club path. The question is, why is that club path like that? Is there something earlier? I mean, I'd really have to see your swing. I'd say for sure, Michael, your downswing is definitely too far outside and across. That would be what you'd look to fix. shallow your downswing, you know, the best draw I've ever seen, any of those sort of things. How to hit a draw video, those sort of practice stations would help. Yeah. Pierre, ooh, yo, I like that. YOH. Love your videos, thank you. Going to join the reverse swing club as soon as payday arrives. My question is, what golf balls do you play with, and any recommendations? I've played Titleist Pro V1Xs my whole life for no other reason than that was just kind of like in vogue when I was in high school playing, and I just got used to those to spin around the greens. I played around with some other Callaway balls, some Nike balls, Strixon balls. I find my full swing performance with the golf balls I use changes very little to nothing. The difference I notice with the ball I play is more around the green. So inside 100 and green side, and specifically where I just find I can control the Pro V1X really well. The ball's soft. I like the feel of it. I like the spin rates. I know the flights of it. When I played other golf balls, I don't find that I hit it farther, shorter, or more spin or sideways or whatever. I find that the control around the greens is different. So that's why I like that ball. But I think recommendation is just try, you know, try one and see. If you want to do a ball fitting, that's cool as well. But I think you just kind of trial and error with a golf ball. It depends on like if money's not an object, I'd go high end and pay for the ball. Usually you get what you pay for, and those premium balls are better around the greens, but full swing shouldn't change much. Larry, hey Eric, like your videos. I have a hard time leaving the club. I had a hard time leaving the club face open during impact. What should I be thinking during the backswing and downswing? Is it all about the wrist angle? Mayor, is there anything else we could put on this weight-wise?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, so if your club face is too open, there's basically three main things that you want to look at. One is grip, two is wrist conditions, three is arm rotation. That is, the weaker your grip here, the more open your face is going to be. The stronger your grip, the more closed your face is going to be. So you may strengthen your grip. That's an option. Forearm rotation is another one. The more you rotate your forearms open during the backswing, the more it opens it. The less you rotate your forearms, the more it keeps it closed. That would be a secondary one. Also during the downswing, the more you rotate your forearms, the more it closes it. The less you rotate your forearms, the less it closes it. So you either could rotate your forearms less on the way back to close it, or rotate them more on the way through to close it. The last one's wrist conditions. You could bow your wrist to change where the face is at, or you could cup it to open it. So if your life was on the line and you wanted to close your club face, you would strengthen your grip, rotate your forearms less on the way back or more on the way down, and then you would bow your left wrist. Which one, Larry, should you do? I have absolutely no idea, because I would have to see your swing to see which one of those is causing your face to be open, but hopefully that helps. What you want to do if you're normally leaving it open is don't be shy about exaggerating. This is where a lot of people kind of fall short. If I'm going out towards a 100-yard sign and I've been hitting them right, you shouldn't be trying to go from hitting it right to straight. You should be trying to go from hitting it right to boomerang the freak to the left, right? If you especially you've been hitting right for a while, you've been hitting right for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, and you can't fix that. You need to not be trying to aim straight, or hit straight rather. You should aim at your target and try and hit it 100 yards left, and you'll probably hit it straight. I would start with that. Dougie, high or low arms at top of swing? Quick answer. I like the arms to be on the shoulder line, or slightly above if I had to pick one or the other. Pros distance control great out of bunkers. That's because they're pros, they practice a lot. Unlike more consistency in short game overall, now my bunker play good and bad day to day. What keys do you feel there may be in the inconsistency difference? One is they're pros, so talent level is high. 2, they practice a lot. 3, their bunker conditions are perfect. 4, their clubs are perfect. The greens roll out excellent. I said they're pros already. I'm going to say that again. They're pros, they're pros, they're pros, they're pros. They practice more, they practice more, they practice more, they practice more. Might they have better technique, etc.? I would say to you, hey, how often do you practice at the bunker? If the answer is anything less than 2 to 3 times a week, that's overwhelmingly why they're better than you, because they would be practicing more than that. And then you should be practicing your distance control. If your distance is not as good, you should get in a bunker, lay a tower object down, 3 paces on the green, 6, 9, 12, and actually spend time practicing that. And then just golf is tough, man. Everyone's inconsistent day to day. If you watch the golf this weekend, some of those guys light it up one day, and then they're not lighting it up the next day, and they're the best in the world at what they do. So yeah, that's the answer to that. Jason, is there a good checkpoint for proper amount of right lateral side bend? Yeah, the right side bend you should have, let's say with an iron, is specifically the amount that keeps your head in the circle you start with as you're rotating. So if I go up and take my normal setup position, and let's say I have an 8 iron, I have like 2, 3 degrees of tilt. When I go up to the top, I stay in that circle from left side bending and extending. As I go down in transition, my left side of my hip and my left shoulder stay lower. I stay in that circle only because I'm adding right side bend. If I added too much right side bend, my head would go behind the circle. If I didn't add right side bend, my head would go in front of the circle. So how much right side bend is the right amount of right side bend is the amount that keeps your head in the circle during your downswing as you're rotating. That's how much. Jim, Herrick, I've gone from a steep downswing to a shallow downswing with no divot. Feels like I'm hitting the center of the ball, low trajectory. What should I work on to find the bottom? Yeah, I don't know. Don't know based on that. I think going from steep to shallow is a good new thing for you. Jim, I'd probably have to see your swing again to say what specifically you should work on. Doesn't sound like you're having any issues in terms of particular location or direction or missing on certain sides. So I don't know how much kind of feedback I give you there, but going from steep to shallow is a good idea. So I like that. Glenn, should the hands be ahead or behind driver head at impact? Depends on your club head speed. So guys with more speed can be more ahead. A la like a Burst Cap guy, Dustin Johnson, their shaft might be forward, A, because their face is squarer going to impact so they can afford it, and 2, they have more speed. Guys on the way down who don't have as much speed, you need to have more loft. So your shaft will be more neutral, even slightly behind when you work through. So the answer is it depends on you and your club head speed. If you have a lot of speed and or a really square club face, you'd have the handle more forward. If you have less speed and or more open club face, you need to handle more back. If you have less speed, you need to handle back for more loft to have the ball go high enough and far enough. And if your face is more open, you need to handle back to square it. If your face is open and your speed's slow, there's no way your hand's gonna be any kind of forward. So that's the answer there. Paul, Eric, do you have a swing thought before you're about to strike the ball? If so, what it is? So it depends. I mean, if I'm working on something like over the winter and this spring, I've been working on increasing my backswing turn and getting my left arm depth or kind of deeper at the top. As the winter went on, I wasn't really hitting and I was kind of lifting and wearing heavier clothing. My backswing turn went from semi-normal to like freaking some of those videos, man, I had like no turn whatsoever. It's funny looking back upon them. And so I'm just trying to get my turn back, full turn, full depth. So those would be my thoughts. Big chest turn, arm slow, shorter. Now I've been doing that for like 8 months. It's getting more comfortable. Now when I'm on the course, I'm more so trying to hit shots. Like I'm trying to fade a ball off a tee. I'm trying to draw a ball into a pin. I'm trying to kind of play a little bit more. But those would be the things that I'm kind of typically thinking about. What are your thoughts on throwing the club head through impact? I like it, just kind of the same answer I said to Glenn. If you have less speed or more open club face, you need to throw. If you have less speed, you need to throw to get loft. And if your face is open, you need to throw to square the face. There ain't no getting around that unless you really curl it down at the bottom. If you have more speed and or a square club face, I don't like that. If you got a lot of speed, you shouldn't be throwing as much. You have more kind of a drive hold, or if you have a really strong grip, you'll have more of a drive hold. Again, that's a very general answer to your question. Of course, if you measured it, all golfers are going towards extension during the downswing. All golfers are going towards unhinged during the downswing. So there is some amount of throw for all of us. The question is how much and what do you need to feel. Depends on your grip, your speed, your club face alignment, body rotations. Subscribe to Performance Golf Zone for your 15 swings to fix my driver slice. I haven't fixed it yet, but trying. What is the difference between Performance Golf and your Cogorno Golf subscription? Performance Golf Zone is a company that we do training videos and programs with. Cogorno Golf is our own membership and subscription site. So there's a lot more of our own stuff on Cogorno Golf. And then you get the Facebook group where you can post your videos. I can see your swing. I give you personalized feedback. Tony, could you talk about grip, holding the club more in the finger or in the fat part of your palm? You definitely want to be more in the finger, not the fat part. You want to have your left hand heel pad on top of the club. You want to have your thumb down the right side, your V towards your right collarbone. You want your right hand, that left thumb to go down your right hand, kind of that lifeline in the middle and that crevice. And then you want your thumb to be on the side. It depends on who you're talking to. I get the grip about right there. So much more through my fingers. You don't want to be in here in your palm. I go here like this, and then my right hand, it's more here in terms of where it lays like that. So hopefully that helps. Daryl, how do I get more distance out of wedges 52 and 60 in particular? Dynamic loft lower.
Did you say wedges?
Yeah. So if you want more distance out of a wedge or an iron, you got to take the dynamic loft down or increase speed or change the spin. The easiest thing to do is lower the dynamic loft. The question is how. It depends on why you have too much loft or why you want to hit them farther in the first place. So take more club, lower the loft, increase speed. The question is how. I'd say that the number one variable to how far you hit is dynamic loft. The number one variable to dynamic loft is shaft lean. So you want to make sure the shaft's leaning forward. How? Lots of different things involved with that. And the second thing is club face angle. If you're coming down, your face is open, you're going to have to throw at the bottom. You want to make sure your face is square to slightly tilted down during your downswing so you can deliver it with the shaft forward. When I say getting the shaft forward, nobody's getting the shaft forward unless your club face is square. Nobody's getting the shaft forward unless your club face is square. Those who get the shaft the most forward, like a Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, check out their club faces during the down so the things are tilted down. So if your face is open, everybody here, nothing else is relevant until you get that thing tilted down. You ain't getting the shaft forward, no rotation, etc. Have to get the face under control. Your right wrist video is gold. Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. You are very welcome. Doug, if you want to get your arms up, watch Matthew Wolf swing club way outside and arms going to go up. Yeah, he hits it good. Winning on his first year on the PGA Tour is phenomenal. Craig, weight in right heel on backswing. Yes. I'm thinking about signing up for Cogorno Golf Premium. How often can we post your swings up for feedback? Up to once per month. Just wondering how personalized the Facebook session can be. Yeah, it's up to once per month. Because I don't need to see you in between those. When you guys post a video up and I post what you're going to do, your first videos, we're going to identify 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Those are the things you guys need to do for months and months and months and months and months and months. All of us kind of think we're going to get something and move on to the next piece sooner than we are. Like I say on average that people in the Facebook group, when they post something up, the first things we identify, we're working those for 3, 6, 9, 12 months. So for me to see you in 4 weeks, like it's just going to be, hey, where are you at in this process? You can ask questions along the way, but once a week is, or once a month is plenty. Like there's no more, there's no need for any more than that.
A member posted later on in the comments. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's see. I tried at the start of the downswing to abduct, separate my knees by pushing to the right with my right knee. That really activates my glutes and help me to rotate. What's your opinion? Yeah, I love that. We did a video on footwork, or three ways to fix your footwork, I think it was called. And I talked about that in that video. And then one of our push off your right side and increase rotation videos we did last year, we talked about that. Your trail foot, ideally from here, if I take my normal setup position during my downswing, as I begin down, I'm going to push clockwise with my foot. So it's kind of going like this. Push down and back on my right foot. If I do that, and you can try this, if I'm standing here and my foot's in the ground and I grip the ground, push into the ground with my foot, I actually kind of like grip it with my toes and I push down and back, it makes my trail leg externally rotate and my glute activates. Joke. And if I don't, if I push off the inside, my trail leg goes internally rotated and I don't have any glute activation, right? So when I come down, I want to feel like my knee, you feel like your knee goes this way, but you're not really doing it that way. You're doing it by the right foot pushing this way, down and back as you go. Now, as you do that, you're not just trying to sit back on your right hip. You're still going to gradually move down and forward with your pelvis. You're pushing down into here. And then once you're getting closer down to the bottom, you're then starting to extend the legs together and pushing the pelvis up into the follow through. So, yeah, I love that. That's what good ball strikers do. That's absolutely what we should be doing. It's something that I didn't really hear talked about until a couple of years ago. I heard Chris Como doing a segment on one of the Facebook teaching forums I'm in, kind of talking about the pressure in the feet. And Dr. Kwan out of, I think it was in Texas Women's University in Texas. That was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I heard that for the first time. Never knew that before that. And definitely helps the rotation. Josh, my path and plane are great. When I use the wrist conditions you teach, my iron play is awesome, but my driver is low and left. Where should the back of my left hand point at impact? 45 degrees up. Here's a kind of a simple way to think about it, Josh. The back of your left hand at impact should point roughly where it started. So if you had a weak grip and my left hand is pointed at the target when I start, when I get to impact, I want to be at the target. If I have a strong grip and I'm kind of 45 to the right, when I get back to impact, I want to be 45 to the right. So if you put like a T or an object on the back of your hand and it points this way, you should finish at impact where you started. So it depends on your grip. Weaker grip will point more towards the target when you finish. Stronger grip will point more to the right. That's why I'm saying before, how much supination you have really depends on the kind of grip you have. If you have a stronger grip, you don't need to supinate as much. Your hand can finish here and the face is still square. So my hand can be to the right, my face is still square. If I had a weaker grip, I have to curl that under and supinate more and get it back to the target to get it back to square. So hopefully that makes sense. And it depends on kind of, you know, what your angle of attack is going to be, et cetera. So there's other variables there. But Johnny, what's up, man? Paul, do you really extend the arms in takeaway? My trail arm seems to bend too much. Yeah, we did a video on this today. The trail arm, I'd say in stock normal, if this is 180 straight up and down, by the top of the backswing, I want to be about 90, okay? I don't know if you can see that. Let me do that one more time. Okay. So if I'm here 180, I go to 90 like this at the top. So that's where my right arm would be. I would say you're trying to bend it in 30 degrees segments at each position. So if I go normal setup here like this, and I'm normal, I want to be bent about 30 degrees by first parallel. So it's about 150 degrees. I'm bent 30 here. By the time I get to here, I'm bent 60. And then by the time I get to the top, I'm 90. So 30, 60, 90 degrees of bend. If your arms bend too early in the takeaway, that's usually because you didn't turn your body enough. So if I took my takeaway position and I turn my body a lot, I can keep my right arm longer and straighter. My hands will work more in. If I don't turn at all, my elbow is going to separate and my right arm bends. So if you take a setup and just try this, don't turn your body at all. Keep your shirt buttons and belt buckle forward and take your arms back. What happens? Your right arm folds a lot. Your elbows separate because that's the only way to get the club back. If I turn my body, I can lengthen my right arm. It's no big deal. So usually when you bend your right arm too much, it's because you don't turn enough. How would you fix that? You'd put an object between your arms, tour striker ball, bucket, and force yourself to do some takeaways. That will fix that almost instantly. If you put a tour striker ball between your arms, you're looking for 30 degrees of bend by first parallel. Get the club head even with the hands face slightly tilted down. Adam, thoughts on whether should fire at pins or play really conservative? If you don't break 75 on a regular basis, you should fire at 0 pins, and I mean 0 pins. Not 1, not 2, not a couple that look good. You should fire at 0 pins. You should hit to the dead middle of every single green, at least outside of 100 yards. So if you don't break 75 and you shoot and you have over 100 yards, you should play dead middle of the green. That doesn't mean aim at the middle of the green. That means try and make the ball land in the middle of the green. So if you play a 20-yard hook, I'm saying you aim 20 yards right on every time. If you play a 20-yard fade, aim 20. Not aim in the middle, but land in the middle. Realistically, let's say if you kind of score in a decent range, you should only fire at pins that fit your ball pattern. So if you hit a draw, you can go at pins that are in the middle of the green and to the left, not the ones to the right. If you hit fades, you can go at pins in the middle right. But middle of the greens are great. The best players in the world only birdie 4 to 5 around, 4.5, the best of the best. 2 of those are par 5. So really the best in the world are birdieing 2 out of the 14 holes that are not par 5s on average. So, I mean, think about that. What are you and I doing? You know what I mean? Less than that. So if we're going to make 2 out of 14 birdies, we might as well just go to the middle of the green and take our chance at making a 30-footer. Plus it gives you maximum dispersion. Ron, irons are regular flex, hybrid drivers stiff. Do you think this will produce more consistency? Yeah, I really don't know, Ron. That's tough for me to answer. I would always recommend going to get a fitting with a fitting with a fitter who's good. I know that's not the answer you probably want, but that's the real answer. I feel the club head more with regular flex irons. Should they be the same or does it matter? I don't think it needs to be the same. My recommendation would be get a fitting. That is the right answer. David, the Facebook sessions are the real deal. Eric takes care of you personally with every response. The best frequency is 4 weeks given we have lots of work to put in. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, David, for explaining that. The Facebook group. Start with Eric as a scratch golfer. After 8 months, swing it better than ever. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I think all you guys would enjoy our Facebook group, and get a lot out of it if you tried it. Let's see here. Are the master classes free for premium members, monthly memberships? Yes, Ronald, they are. They should be on the site. Yeah, the masterclass we did today is already on the site. Mary put on the site. It's on there. Grover, how can I get you to analyze a golf swing video of myself? Join CogornoGolf.com, premium or elite membership, and you can put that in there. Oh, Mary already answered that one. Chris, hey, Eric, thanks for all you do. Fantastic teaching. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Robert, how do I fix a duck hook driver? Make sure the face isn't dramatically closed and or that you're not hitting it dramatically off the heel or the toe. So the first thing I do is eliminate the possibility you're hitting it dramatically off the heel or the toe. I used to duck hook some drives for a while because I was hitting off the toe and I never knew it. I just thought my face was super shut. But in reality, I was just too far inside out, handling how high I hit it on the toe, and it would quack hook. I just never knew it. So what I would do first, Robert, is get some foot spray, spray it, confirm you're not hitting it directly off the toe or the heel first. If you are, figure out how to fix that. If not, then you have a face or path issue. You have to address that way. You have to kind of see why that is. Could be too many reasons. But I would ensure that the centers of contact was good first. And then if you're still, if you, let's just say you're hitting the middle of the face and you're duck hooking them, you got to do stuff that feels like slice in some way, shape, or form. That might mean you feel like you're swinging over the top, you're swinging way left past impact, you're keeping the face wildly open. Like you got to always exaggerate the opposite of your normal. So if you're not doing it because of off-center contact, exaggerate some kind of slice pieces, depends on why. Thoughts on the golf industry as a whole, growing, declining? Just out of school and looking to work in different big companies, was wondering about your opinion on the industry as a whole. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know that I would recommend someone working in the golf industry unless you have sort of a niche you're looking for. Like if you really enjoy club fitting and want to do that, if you really want to coach and want to do that, I think there's a lot of really good jobs at clubs if you like that. Being like a pro at a public facility, I think is a tough gig, a lot of hours, a lot of weekends, holidays away from family and stuff. But if you, I mean, I know a lot of people who love it. I just think it's a lot, you know. So I don't know that I would recommend it or not recommend it. I think it just depends if you have sort of niche thing you're looking for. Yeah. Jason, been having lower back problems since I started learning to play over the last year and a bit. Any thoughts on what generally causes lower back pain and some things to focus on? Yeah, I have lower back stuff that comes up from time to time too. For me, that's just a kind of physical, personal thing, golf aside. Golf swings are just not good for your back, man. There's no method, style, technique, etc. that's good for your back. You're swinging a club, you know, like 100 miles an hour on a tilted plane. I mean, it's just really not good for your back. That just is what it is. So yeah, Jason, I think I would just check out, you know, work with a doctor and figure out how you can kind of strengthen whatever the back is. A lot of times lower back issues come from something above or below it. That could be a spine, a thoracic thing, mid-back. That could be a glute, hamstring thing. So I would kind of work with a PT or physical therapist doctor on that one. Larry, on the transition to my downswing, working on curing, I don't know what time with that. Hello, working on curing early extension. Should my hips be moving to my left foot as I continue to rotate? So in reality, as you're working down, your pelvis, as you go like this, is going to rotate. You're going to be shifting and rotating at the same time. Like to see the lead hip being at the ankle joint or slightly inside, your right kind of side turn. So that would be normal. So from here, you kind of butt line or head line, right, would maintain as you're turning and then you're extending up afterwards. Really what early extension is a lack of rotation. Good players extend later. If you have an early extension problem, it's because you extend early. The problem is that you extend. Everyone who has a good golf swing extends. When you have early extension, it just happens earlier. So what you need to do is learn to rotate more first and then extend later. I would check out, Larry, the early extension masterclass is just such an awesome masterclass we did. It's step by step. It's very thorough. I mean, we crushed that one. Every single body part, explaining why everything happens, drills, etc. So, Larry, I'd pony up the $75. I'd watch that early extension masterclass. I'm going to answer any of the questions you have about that. Yeah, the premium memberships, get that for free. So you can also check that out and go through those fields. I mean, you're going to have to exaggerate, right? I had early extension for a long time. You got to go big exaggeration. You got to film yourself, chest way down, face kissing the ground, that sort of stuff. Right shoulder just to the ground. Some people do kind of drills with chair, you know, butt on chair. I never personally love that, but you can do that kind of stuff too. Early extension masterclass, the answer, man. I pull my wedges to the left. Can you tell me why? Nope. I can give you some things as to why it might happen. Your ball position could be too far forward. You might be aimed too far left. Your downswing could be too far over the top. What I would do if you're pulling your wedges is first, check your aim. So take your normal setup, go to target, put your line down your feet, and put a line like this down your target line. Confirm that's the easiest one. Number two, check your ball position. Make sure it's not too far forward. If you're hitting your wedge, you want to be no more than your left eye, kind of more here, sternum. And then if you have a good setup and good ball position, the only reason you'd hit it left from there, if they're straight pulls, is because your swing direction would be too far kind of outside this way. So I'd go, hey, let me make sure I'm aimed good, ball position good. And if that's all good and you're still pulling them, you got to feel like the club head works more from inside and more to the right. Past impact. 45 minutes in, just hit my first ball. Matt, can you talk about how the wrists move through impact or lead me to which videos I should check out? Yeah, so I'm going to lead you to videos because there's so much to talk about with that. It just depends on your grip pattern. So if you search my name and grip and wrist conditions, you'll see some good videos on that. If you search my name and shaft lean, wrist conditions, impact, stuff like that, you'll see some stuff. Kind of the moral of the story is you're trying to get the hands back inside left thigh or on the left shoe by impacting that handle forward. The weaker your grip is, the more you got to curl your left wrist down and supinate. The stronger your grip is, the more you can just drive hold this way. During the downswing, there's always going to be multiple things. Like your wrist conditions can go flexion, extension, radial or ulnar deviation. During your downswing, everyone's going to unhinge some amount. Everyone is going to supinate some amount. And then the flexion extension part depends on where you're coming from. So you're really, let's say from last parallel into impact, if everything's neutral, neutral grip, neutral face, you're unhinging, you're supinating, and you're flexing. You're unhinging, supinating and flexing, or you're unhinging, maintaining, and supinating. Again, it just depends on where you're coming in from. Search my name in wrists, impact, wrist and grip, stuff like that. You'll see that in really thorough in detail. Glenn, what would be considered a fast swing speed? Mine's 102 with the driver. Yeah, I guess it's all relative, isn't it? I'd say 102 is kind of normal. I'd say an average man across the board club head speed is probably 90 if you factor in all age groups. I'd say yeah, I'd say 100 is probably a little bit above average in terms of club head speed. So at 100 miles an hour, you don't want the shaft to land forward. You need the shaft pretty darn neutral. You need some loft at 100 miles an hour. I mean, at 100 miles an hour, if you get the angle of attack right, you'd be hitting at 250, 260, 275 is probably like max. If you hit up on it quite a bit and smash factor's 1.5 at 100 miles an hour. So you at that, if distance is your priority, don't want to have the shaft very far forward. You want to have the shaft kind of more neutral, kind of lining up 90 degrees and letting it throw a little bit. Of course, that depends on your club face, swing direction, pivot, you know, all those things. Tyler, not a lot of people talk about push versus pull with the arms. Is it predominantly the left hand pulling through, the right hand as support? Yeah, I think not a lot of people talk about that, Tyler, because it's very subjective. We don't have anything right now to measure how much, at least not I don't, push or pull with the right hand. So during the downswing, should you be pulling with this? Should you be pushing with this? I think it's just super subjective, dude. That's why I don't really like to cover those sort of things, because there's no right answer. Like, to me, here's a right answer. I want you to get your hands in line with your right pec at left arm parallel. That's a correct answer, right? So like whatever you need to do to get in line with your right pec. I can't say you need to pull your left arm from here to here. There's not a correct answer there. If you feel pull of your left arm, someone feels push of the right. I've never once in my entire golfing life felt a pull or push of any of my arms. Never. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just never felt it. So it's not a necessity to play well. So I don't really have a good answer to that question, dude, just because I don't think it's any firm thing. I think whatever you feel to kind of hit motions and checkpoints is the goal. How do you get faster club speed? You kind of make sure all of the mechanics are efficient, so your setup is good. Backswing, pressure shift, extension, downswing, pressure shift, rotation. I'd say the things you're looking for to create more speed is optimize or maximize your backswing and follow through turn. So kind of the more turn you get in both sides, the more speed you can get. You want pressure shifts. So the more I shift pressure whilst keeping my body pretty centered, I get more speed. So I'd say max out the rotation, max out pressure shift while staying centered. And then there's also extension. So the more I extend up this way during my backswing or follow through. So during my backswing, chest up towards the sky, I'm not going to look like I stand up because I have left side bend. And then in my follow through this way too is going to produce more speed. We did a video or videos on here about getting more speed. If you search my name in speed or distance, I kind of go through these in more detail. Maybe effortless speed was one video we did, or 5 ways to hit it farther, something like that. But it's pressure shift, maximizing body turn on both sides, extension, and kind of learning how to push out of the ground would be ideal there. Or you can do super speed sets and learn, just literally train your body to swing an object faster with the super speed and kind of not worry about mechanics, or do both. Any rules of thumb for decent angle you are looking for when using certain clubs? I understand stopping power comes from a mix of spin and descent angle, but have no clue what descent angle I'm looking for. Any rule of thumb? Oh, descent. Hey. So yeah, so like it depends on how high you hit it and what kind of spin you have. I would say, like, depending on what kind of speed and spin you have, the higher the ball flight angle like this, obviously the more the ball is going to go drop down vertical. Kind of typically the lower angle you're going to launch like this, the more it's going to go this way. So it really just depends on how much speed you have. If you got a lot of speed, you're going to hit a ball flight that's going to go up. It's going to kind of drop out of the sky this way. Your descent angle is going to be a little bit more vertical on the way down, compared to if you're a low ball hitter, it's going to come in like this. And so it just depends on like how much speed and what kind of ball flight stuff you want to have. Love the channel. Thank you. Feel for more shaft lean at impact. Yeah, Mark, I would search my name and shaft lean on here, and you'll see a couple of videos that'll detail that. What feels should you have for more shaft lean? You know, it really depends on why you don't have shaft lean in the first place. The first thing you're always needing to do for shaft lean is make sure your face is square, not open. So did we just do a video on shaft lean? Compress the ball. We just did a video last week, I think, on compress the ball. I would watch that one that talks about the face angle delivery patterns. That's going to be a 15-minute answer to your question rather than the 30 seconds I'm going to give you here. So I would make sure the face is in line first. You're trying to get the handle more forward this way. You can feel like the left wrist bows. You can feel like the arm abducts away from the body this way. You ideally want to get the handle forward through good rotation. You can get the handle forward through lateral. You get the handle forward through lateral, rotation, and wrist flexing, right? So there's different options to do that. I really have to see why you don't have the handle forward in terms of how to do it. A lot of times doing drills to get shaft leans less effective than actually fixing the root cause of why you don't have shaft lean. You could put a stick up the side of the club and learn to hit balls without hitting your body. Things like that can work with that as well. For older players with slow swing speed, can you go through the alternative to pivot and hold? More release and wrist to increase speed. I can, but I already did, and I'm going to pull you in that direction. If you search my name and senior golf swing, we did a senior golfer master class. That's like $60. That goes through that in detail. We also did a video on YouTube here that's called the senior best swing for senior golfers. That explains your question in detail in like 20 minutes. So I would watch that one. If you could perfectly mimic one pro swing, whose would it be? For me, it's Freddie Couples or Ernie Els all day. I mean, Rory's swing's pretty darn good. It's super, super good for his driver pattern, and he just has such an advantage off the tee with his driver that I think I'd take his swing because he, you know, if he could hit his wedges closer and kind of firm up his short game, he's so good. I think he makes some course management decisions that are poor, having watched him throughout the year. But his swing in terms of ball striking is probably the one I would take. Adam Scott's hard to argue with. Robert Rock mechanically has a really good swing. I like Xander Schauffele's swing a lot. But I can see where he can kind of get underplaying a little bit and get the push and hooks going. I would take Rory's pattern off because of his tee shot optimization. I would learn how to get better with the wedges, and I'd course management my way better. And I'd probably take Rory's pattern. Let's see. Broke par for the first time last week. Can I get a shout out? Thanks, Mark. Yes, you can, my friend. Congratulations. Under par is a beautiful thing, and a small, small percentage of human beings have ever done that. So congratulations. Thanks, Eric and David. I will sign up for the membership site. Yeah, you'll like it, man. And even if you can cancel anytime if for whatever reason you don't like it. But if you're genuinely interested in improving your game and you want someone to help you do it, really, I think it's, I mean, I'm a little biased, but it's a really good resource to be able to do that. And it's $39. Okay, Tomas. Hi, Eric. Thanks for your tips. I'm hitting 1 or 2 300+ yard drives every weekend. That's lovely. Your tips are great, thank you. How many hours I need to commit for your subscription system? You really can do whatever you want. I think how much time you have to commit depends on how good you want to get. So if you're interested in getting better and kind of maximizing how good you are, not necessarily quicker. Now, you can improve faster based on frequency, not duration. So if we do stuff and you want to work on certain stuff, or you just decide to work on it by yourself, you get better quicker, not by adding hours per day, but by adding days per week. So if you normally practice 3 days per week for 1 hour and you practice 6 days per week, I'd rather you do that than just go from 1 hour to 2 hour every day. I think really if you put in 20 to 30 minutes, you know, you don't need a long period of time to get a lot of maximum. So I'd say you put in whatever time you want, depending upon what you want. If you go on there and you kind of type out what your goals are and objectives, I can give you kind of a better, like, hey, this is probably what that's going to take. This is going to take 12 months. It's going to take 10 years. It's going to take 2 weeks. You know what I mean? But it just depends on what you want to get out of it. What do you think about the hinge and hold chipping technique? Thanks for your work, Eric. I think it's okay if you have a lot of time to practice. So hinge and hold, sort of the Phil Mickelson style, right? Ball position back, hinge up here, and hold this way. The issue with it is you get no bounce. So it's all leading edge when you do that. I chip that way when I'm doing a lower trajectory, and I teach people to chip that way when you're doing lower trajectories. You kind of see that in the Wedge short iron master class. For those that weren't here earlier, we did launch that Wedge and short iron master class. You guys get 50% off for being here. The coupon code's LIVE, L-I-V-E. Mary posted the link to Podia, or search my name on Podia. Wedge and short iron master class. It's $47 normally. Get it for $28.50. 16 videos on that. L-I-V-E is a coupon code. So I like that hinge and hold method for low shots. I don't mind teaching people that, but I see a lot of people develop issues with that. I'm like, man, I had like chipping like that. So I prefer to go more neutral, go more finesse, go more James Seekman. This is where I learned that from. Get the ball more neutral, have the face open, and learn how to throw it a little bit more, and really just learn how to use the bounce. So I would prefer a chipping method that's more like this, and I can use the bounce and I have margin of error. Now, can I chip with the ball back and go hinge and hold and hit a lower trajectory shot? Absolutely. And that's what I would teach if I was doing a low trajectory. And that's what I do on my wedge if I'm hitting low. But you have to be perfect. There's no margin of error, so you just have to be careful with that. Struggling to rotate first before downswing. Rotate first before downswing. Unsure if the head needs to stay down through impact, which seems to affect rotation. So I'm assuming the wording of that was a little, but so I'm assuming you're saying you struggle to rotate during like the initial downswing part. The longer your head stays forward, the more you can't turn your neck, which is harder to turn your your chest. If you allow your eyes to come up, it's easier to get chest and torso rotation. So I don't like the eyes to stay down at all. You'll see me let them come up earlier. I would prefer like a Duval, Annika, DJ, Henrik Stenson, Eric Cogorno pattern where your eyes come up a little bit sooner and allow rotation. I've yet to see someone hit a bad shot because their eyes came up early. That's kind of mythical. So I like eyes up. I like rotation. The best ball strikers in the world rotate more than the worst ones. They shadow the club better, right? These are things that are true. Any thoughts on staying centered on the downswing, no slide, but right knee fires and head keeps moving forward, causing left shafting, etc. Any thoughts on staying centered in the downswing? No slide, but right knee fires and head keeps moving forward. Yeah, it's interesting because usually those things happen in reverse. If you're saying fired in terms of internally, usually if your right knee kicks in too early this way, the pelvis gets tilted, the left hip goes high, your body would go back, right? So you're saying your right thing fires early and your head goes forward, maybe? So maybe like your hip turns, your head goes forward or something. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I have a solution for that. It's you search my name and hit the ball higher and farther by keeping your head behind the ball. Hit the ball higher and farther by keeping your head behind the ball is the video you should watch that we have on YouTube here. And then right, I'm not going to make a recommendation on your right knee because I'm not sure exactly what you're saying by that. But if I could see it, I could show you. But in terms of keeping your head behind the ball, you watch that video, that'll fix that. When I shape ball into fairways and greens either way, I found that aiming further away from targets is more forgiving than aiming 1 or 2 yards of shape. Is this something you'd recommend? I would recommend that if your dispersion's better that way. I would not recommend that if your dispersion's not better that way. So if you play better that way, absolutely. Bubba Watson would do that, and I would say I would recommend for him that that's great. Adam Scott would not do that, and I'd say I'd recommend for him that that's not great. So I would test that. I'd do a 10, 20, 30, 100 ball set. Whatever you feel better with, whatever you trust on the course, whatever hits better shots, absolutely cool. Most better players curve the ball a small amount. So most players would aim closer and curve it less. It doesn't mean that you can't aim farther and curve it more. It's perfectly fine. What do you think of impact snap? I like it. We're actually going to do a couple of videos with Marty Nowicki, who owns the impact snap, next month. So I like the impact snap. I think there's a lot you can get out of that. Dan, do you feel the right side of your body should control the swing? It feels like everything works so much better the less I use my left side, make it throwing baseball sidearm. Dan, that's one of those ones that's feel-based. You know, it's kind of tough to say yes or no. I don't think feeling the right side through is the universal answer. No. I don't think the left side through is the universal answer. I think some people like right side feels. Some people like left side feels. What you need to feel depends on what you're currently doing. If your right side normally stalls out and hangs back, then I freaking love you feeling your right side through. So a feel thing, there's never a correct or incorrect feel. Do I think the right side should control the swing? No, I don't. I also don't think the left side should control. I'm having a hard time. I think you should hit certain checkpoints in space and do certain movement patterns, and whatever you feel you need to do to hit those would be correct. I don't think it's incorrect to feel that either, right? Any ideas on tee height for driver? I do the old half the ball above, half the ball below. I think is fine for that. Should your wedges have the same lie angle as your irons? Feel my wedges are so close to me if I lay them flat. A lot of people will flatten their wedges, their lie angles with their wedges. It just depends. I've never changed my lie angles with my wedges that I got stock, but I know a lot of good players that do play around with that more. I would just work with a good fitter and kind of see what's best for you. Constantine, how to accelerate the hands from the top to get them in front of body before firing the rest of the body? I'd say for most people, I wouldn't do it that way. You watch some of our body pivot pieces. Most people need to learn how to use the body and kind of generate speed and force, generate rotation, get themselves open, get the club in front. But it really just depends on where you're at. I mean, someone who's, let's say, over the top, let's say you're an over the top slice with the face open. I'm never going to tell you, hey, leave your arms up and just keep turning, right? Like you need to feel like your freaking arms come down and you get inside, you throw it right, you shut the face down and learn how to hook it. Someone who's an elite ball striker, let's say, who struggles with hooks, I would tell them to leave their arms and hands back, learn how to pivot, do nothing with their arms and hands, maybe exit more to the left. So it just really depends on where you're coming from. This is what's tough, guys, with some of these things are not universal. This is why we made CogornoGolf.com, because there could be 5 different answers to that question to 5 different people. It all depends on who's in front of you. So it depends on your swing pattern. I think for most people, you shouldn't be trying to accelerate your arms and hands to get back in front of you. I'm not going to give you a how-to because I don't know that that's the best thing. You do need to get the handle forward. The question's how. The best way to learn how to get the handle forward is by having the face square to closed. One more time for everybody in the back. The best way to get shaft lean and the handle forward is to have the face square to closed. Let that sink in for a minute. Okay. Let's see, John. Cheers, Eric. Love your work. Thank you, my friend. I hope to get a group over to you next year. I'll be there too. Would love to have you. Come on over. Daniel, what do you think of Mark Crossfield? I like him a lot. I used to watch a lot of his videos when he first started. I like Mark a lot. I think he's an awesome guy, and he's done a lot for the YouTube and online golf community. Having an issue with fixing driver slice, I can hit irons up to about 5, but of that, my irons are straight and slight fade and driver slices. Are these typical issues with driver? Yeah, I think that's typical. You need to learn how to not slice that, right? And of course, I'd have to see your pattern to say why. Could be a swing direction thing that's too far over the top. Generally speaking, the ball curving to the right, the root of all things is what I said before, which is the club face gets too open. You could be off center contact with that. I'd have to see, I think, to say. Okay, I'm going to answer these last two, and then we're going to rock and roll. Been working the best drill you've ever seen for inside out, but now it's causing a hook off the course. Try continuous drill. That's excellent. That's exactly what you want when you're first doing that, especially if you're fading it. You got to learn how to hook it left, and then you take the station out, neutralize it a little bit, and add rotation to take it off. So learn how to hook it left. That's exactly what you should have done. Now add body rotation. If that doesn't completely take it out, then add body rotation and neutralize swing direction. Use the orange whip in the warm-up. Any other uses to help my swing path that you would recommend? No, I would just use it with warm-up. I like that. Daniel, you're as good as Mark, in my opinion. Simple, straightforward advice. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap this up here. One more time, if I did say to you guys about seeing your swing, because I meant it, CogornoGolf.com is our membership site. You can check the, I don't know if we put a link here, but it's in all the YouTube videos, CogornoGolf.com. You can post your swing up. Me personally, will be behind the other side of the computer giving you swing advice that's personalized to you, not cookie cutter stuff. We did launch our wedge and short iron masterclass. The coupon code is LIVE live. You get 50% off. It was $47. That makes it $28.50. That'll be good until I think this is over, maybe the end of the night maximum. So check that out as well if you guys have not. And we'll be back outside next week, next Monday here for another live. Hope you guys enjoy the videos this week that are coming out on the wedge class. I know you guys are going to enjoy those. Hope you guys start putting that in your game. And that's it. Hope you guys have a good night. We'll see you guys next week.